5 running backs to draft in fantasy football if you want to lose your fantasy football leagues in 2026. That might be a slight exaggeration, but these are 5 running backs, 6 actually, there's a little bonus running back that I am steering clear from in drafts as their current ADPs are right here, right now. Obviously, things can change as we get closer and closer to draft time in August, but here and now, I'm staying clear of these guys, and let's go ahead and get right into it. No reason to wait, and let's get right into number 1, which is currently going as the RB4, the number 7 overall pick, Jonathan Taylor. This is a bit of a stretch here. I'm saying avoid these running backs. Maybe it's more of just a steer clear of a Jonathan Taylor. In my rankings, I have him as the RB6. I have him my second running back tier. He's dropped since I've started this. I think I started him at RB4 like the rest, but I've dropped him 2 spots, and honestly, that's why I wanted to put him in this video, is because I think the more you look into his numbers, the more of a risky pick he actually is than you might think. So let's just talk about the clear, obvious thing. The first thing that really caught my eye, and if you had him last year like I did, you kind of knew this, but I don't know if you might not know how drastic it was. So through weeks 1 through 14 last season, Jonathan Taylor was the RB2, scoring about 24 fantasy football points a game. This is in PPR leagues. In weeks 15 through 18, which is the most important part of the season, he dropped from RB2 to RB18 and was only averaging 13 fantasy football points a game. That is over 10 points less per game for Jonathan Taylor, a guy that you're going to have to take as the RB4 in the draft as it currently stands. Why does that happen? Why would this even be a thing? Well, clearly that is when Daniel Jones went down with injury. And I am not saying that Daniel Jones is going to miss any significant time this year, although it is kind of likely that he does. Maybe not likely, but a very realistic chance that Daniel Jones is missing time in 2026, even if it's not to start the season, because he's practicing. But these type of injuries, this Achilles and ACL injury, to think he will have no complications with that, I think is very short-sighted. Also, just him as a player. The issue is Daniel Jones made the other team, which is crazy to say, but in 2025, Daniel Jones made the team respect the pass, which let Jonathan Taylor just absolutely eat. Will Daniel Jones still be able to do that? Let's say he plays 17. Let's give him that. Just like the injury can cause more injury concerns down the line, year 1 of coming back from an Achilles injury does not have a good track record, especially for a mobile guy like Daniel Jones. The 2 most recent injuries, Achilles injuries, is Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, they are not the mobile threats that Daniel Jones at least was pre this injury. But look at how much how do I word this? How much less mobile those 2 guys got. So Rodgers was at least scrambling around, moving around, and maybe not running downfield, but behind the line of scrimmage. That first year back, he didn't do that much at all. Kirk Cousins never, ever, ever had been a scrambler, but he would do it. He would pick up first downs here and there. He literally wouldn't run his first year back in Atlanta. He just wouldn't. I get, again, how little they ran already, those 2 guys specifically, but it's just how little they already ran and then how much that dropped. If Daniel Jones can't run, let's just say that's a fair assessment that he might not be able to. Like, that is a legitimate risk. If he's not able to run, is he as effective as a quarterback? And if he's not as effective as a quarterback, even if he's out there, are they going to respect the pass, or are they just going to load up against Jonathan Taylor? Those are legitimate concerns. Also, Daniel Jones was a cone for, I don't know, every year except 1 in New York. So are we just supposed to accept that this is the new Daniel Jones? There's so many reasons why this won't work out for this Colts offense. Daniel Jones might just not be good. It might have been a fluke year. Even if he is good, he's coming off an injury, and maybe that injury causes him to not be as good. Even if he's still good, this injury he's coming off of tends to linger and could get him re-injured. There's so many risks that just involve Daniel Jones. And let's talk about the other thing that makes this a risky pick. Jonathan Taylor has a low-key injury problem. It's not something that people talk about a bunch, and myself included, but his last 4 seasons, these are his games played. Last season, he played all 17. The season before that, 14 games. Before that, 10 games. Before that, 11 games. Last year was his first full season in years. I got to be honest with you. I have Jonathan Taylor in my Dynasty league, and I think in one of my keeper leagues. I am very open to trading him. I'm not trying to force a trade. I am simply, in one league, I'll probably throw him on the trade block because that actually gets some attention in one of my leagues. And I might just see what I get. I'm not probably putting together trade packages, but I'm willing to listen for sure. This is probably his all-time high as far as value goes. And why wouldn't I listen to offers when I think at best he gives you back his value, which when we're talking about the top round guys, it's kind of an unfair thing. Like, oh, you're drafting him at a ceiling. Yeah, obviously, you're drafting him in round 1. But I don't see him being a top 3 running back is what I meant by that. I think he is going to be in that 4. And honestly, I could see him, let's just assume health here. I could see him in that 4 all the way down to like the 10 range. So I already don't know how much value you're getting back from it. And then, of course, I think there's a good chance he gets injured. If Daniel Jones is injured or just not as good, then what happens? There's just so much risk involving Jonathan Taylor. And keep in mind, I still have him as my RB6. I'm not saying he sucks, but I am avoiding him. I will probably end up in redraft leagues with less Jonathan Taylor than most everybody else, because I think at this point I would just rather the other guys around him. Give me Saquon Barkley. He's going a whole round later. So give me a receiver in round 1, and then the next round, let me just get Saquon. Like, that's how I feel about it right now. So I have Saquon over him. I have Ashton Jeanty over him. I just don't love Jonathan Taylor because of the reasons I listed. So let's get on to our second running back. No need to drag this out. Let's get on to our second running back, which is Jeremiah Love. He is currently going as the RB11, pick number 20. I have him as my RB18. So he's as the RB11, I have him all the way down to RB18. In my opinion, he should be in that tier 3 to tier 4 group of running backs. When I did my running back tier list, I believe it was 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago when I did my running back tier list. I had him in tier 4. I think I'm in between trying to decide if he should be at the end of tier 3 or at the beginning of tier 4. Either way, he's right in that range. I have him so much lower than everybody else, and I feel like the reasons are obvious. So let's just take a look at Ashton Jeanty last year. Ashton Jeanty was drafted about where Jeremiah Love is, maybe a little sooner than where he was last year. And he was considered a draft bust while finishing inside the top 10 of fantasy football last season. Jeremiah Love is, I think, a lock, unless something changes, and we'll get to that in a second, but unless something changes, I think he is a lock to finish in that same spot as Ashton Jeanty at best. I don't think he is, like a lot of people I see on Twitter especially, talk about Jeremiah Love as league winning upside. I don't see that. And again, unless something changes, and let's talk about the change. This running back room is stacked. You got Jeremiah Love, you have Tyler Algier, you have James Conner, you even have Trey Benson. I need 2 of those guys gone. Maybe if it's Conner and not even have to be Benson, if it's just Love, Algier, and Benson, okay, maybe I'm open to it. But I need at least one of them gone. I'd love if 2 of them are gone. If they trade away Algier to Green Bay, if Josh Jacobs' legal issues are a bigger problem, and then Benson can sit there. He's honestly not that concerning to me. The issue I have is not only is that a stacked running back room, not only are they going to use all 3 of those guys probably, at least to an extent, those 2 guys, specifically Algier and Conner, are going to be the type of guys that are going to steal touchdowns away from Jeremiah Love. in an offense, let's get to the second point here, that isn't going to score very many touchdowns. So this offense already has limited amount of touchdowns to give, and now Algier and Connor are going to be the guys taking those rushing touchdowns, in my opinion. I think this is going to be very similar to Kenneth Walker last year. Inside the 20s, like from 120 to the other, I mean by that, Jeremiah Love's going to have a field day. It's going to look like Kenneth Walker. He's awesome. He's clearly just one of the best running backs in football. Look at the talent. But then you're going to get inside the 20 and they're going to sub in Algier and he's going to score the touchdown. I see a very similar outcome for Jeremiah Love. So between this offense being bad, I brought up Genty earlier, like last year, Genty, and I honestly like to bring that up because, like I said, people view Genty as a draft bust because of where you drafted him and where he finished. And I said he was a top 10 running back. He might have been just outside. He was in that like 8 to 12 range. So I'm sorry if I got that wrong. But Jeremiah Love is in a bad offense just like that. Plus competition. Genty had no competition. Jeremiah Love has competition and in a bad offense. That's just not a recipe for success. Now, let me be clear. I have a first overall pick, I should say, in Dynasty this year. I'm taking Jeremiah Love. I don't think long term he's going to be a bad. I love the talent. I love Jeremiah Love. I just think for redraft leagues this year, I'm not love. I said love like 4 times, which is funny. It's his name. Anyway, I get distracted. I'm sorry. I love Jeremiah Love talent, but I hate the situation. Redraft leagues, I'm steering clear. As the RB11, my RB18, I'm probably never getting him at all. But I was looking at it. Let's look at my list, actually. I think I have him at 18, and I was looking at it. I think I could be convinced to maybe move him up to like 15. And again, that he's going as 11, so like that's still quite a bit lower than where he's actually going. Maybe 14 over. I'll show you a clip right here. My 11 through 18 is Kenneth Walker, Cam Scatabo, Breece Hall. I could move him above Javonte Williams. This is Javonte, Derek, Kyron, and Josh Jacobs tier here. I could move him above that, but man, I'm telling you, that's about it. Like I cannot go higher than that with this situation. So no matter how you shake it, in my opinion, it's just an avoid for me because I can't move him high enough. There's not a high enough outcome in my head for him for me to justify moving him into a spot where I actually get to draft him. Now, again, in Dynasty in that league, I traded for that first overall pick. I'll have him in that league. But that's the only league I'm going to have him in this year. And honestly, there's a world where I trade that pick because I'm trying to compete this year in that league. I have a good team. I think I have a chance to win this year. So maybe there's a world where I trade that pick away and try to win right now. It's Jeremiah Love, so I doubt I do that. But there is a world I do it. I was just saying that to say there's a chance I don't have him in any leagues, but I do think I'll have him in at least in that one. All right, these next 3 guys I want to talk about, they're more of a be weary. Again, not Genty. Jonathan Taylor could have been a be weary rather than avoid, but I think the points for Jonathan Taylor stick so much harder as an avoid. I put him in an avoid. These next 3 guys are be weary, and let's start with Bucky Irving. He is going as the RB14. I have him as my RB19 and my tier 5 running backs. So the first question I have is he injured? He came back to practice for like the last little bit of OTAs, but he has this weird shoulder thing going on still. He had that same thing going on at the end of last year, or towards the middle of last year, I should say. It's just a weird situation with Bucky Irving. Is he healthy? Is he not? The way they're talking about the injury, I don't love. It's just a weird situation. I'll go ahead and go into my last point, what I was going to make, and circle back around to the other 2 points, or the other point. Because of this injury thing, that's concerning. That makes them bringing in Kenneth Gainwell to be his backup even more concerning to me. So when I first saw this contract, they signed Kenneth Gainwell to be the backup running back, a 2-year, $14 million contract. That's $7 million a year for a running back. I was like, oh, that's, for a backup running back, that's a solid amount. Like, that's nothing to, like, just turn your head to. And then you look at the guarantees, $14 million contract, $10 million guaranteed. It's like, whoa, that's that's a lot of money guaranteed. Most of this contract is guaranteed. I was like how I don't know how you can look at that and say they don't plan on at least utilizing him. And what is he good at? Receiving. Last year in Pittsburgh, he had 85 targets, 73 receptions, 486 yards, and 3 touchdowns. All that's through the air only. He ended up being RB 16 last year. And if you just look from, I think it was when I was looking at the Jonathan Taylor stats, like the 15 to 18, I believe he was like a top 5 running back in fantasy football last year. He led Pittsburgh in receptions last year. If Bucky Irving loses his receiving work to Kenneth Gainwell, that is an issue. And he is not going to be a good return on your investment for where you're having to draft him at RB 14. That's why the injury thing concerns me so much. Because if he is injured, Gainwell is going to get that work. Even if he's healthy enough to play, but he's still injured, Gainwell is probably still going to get to the receiving work. And Gainwell's the type of guy where if he gets it, I don't know if he gives it up. So I'm really concerned about that. The last thing I'm going to say is in 2024, when he started over 50% of the snaps, he averaged 21.8 fantasy points a game. Last year, that number was 13.8 fantasy points a game. That's obviously quite a bit drop off, but there was injuries and everything else. The offense just wasn't as good. I do think the offense closer to 2024. I don't think they're quite 2024 good, but I do think they're closer to 2024 than they are 2025. So there's just a lot to be worried about here. Like I said, he drops all the way to my RB 19. Another guy I have him near is Travis Etienne Jr., Travis Etienne. And his concern, and he's not even part of this list, I'm just saying this real quick. The reason he was there was because of they haven't done anything with Alvin Kamara yet, and I'm scared if Alvin Kamara is there, he's going to eat into Travis Etienne Jr.'s role a little bit, especially through the air. It's very similar things here with Bucky Irving. So that's just a be wary Bucky Irving. I'm not sure if he's going to give you a good return on your investment. And by August, we should know better. By August, we should know, is he healthy or is he not? Because if he starts off healthy, there's a greater chance that he never gives Gainwell the opportunity to take the receiving work. But right here, right now, if I have to stomp my foot on something or put my stamp of approval or disapproval on him, I'm saying no, go away from him. There's better options here. There's safer options here. There's options that are just as risky, but with even higher upside in this range. I'm saying steer clear of Bucky Irving, at least right now. Let's get into our last two guys. We have 3 guys left. Kenneth Walker is the next one. I'm going to be quick with him because I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I do have him as my RB11, and he's going as the RB6 in Sleeper, so maybe this is a huge deal. Maybe I should spend a little more time than I think on him. It's just an obvious thing, I guess, is why I didn't plan on spending much time on him. Games played. And last year, he played all 17. The year before that, 2024, 11. 2023, 15 games played. 2022, 15 games played. There's no doubting the talent that Kenneth Walker is, but when he's playing that little of games, that's an issue. Also, it's hard to say because Kenneth Walker is one of my favorite running backs to watch in all of football, and it's not that close to me. I love watching Kenneth Walker run the ball. But when you look at his fantasy football end of year rankings, they're not that good. Last year, he finished as RB 22. Year before in 2024, RB 27. Year before in 2023, RB 19. And in 2022, RB 18. Like, he's never in PPR leagues. He's never been a top 15 running back in fantasy football. I feel like I'm right here. Whether he finishes higher than this, and honestly, I would say maybe he does finish higher than this. Like I said, this is RB11. That's where I have him. It's fair. And like, I do think there's a good chance of that happening. But I think I'm right in the sense of he shouldn't be going as RB6. There's other guys that I feel way more comfortable. For example, I brought up Ashton Jeanty earlier. I said he's in my top 5 running backs for fantasy football. He might be my number 4, actually, behind Christian McCaffrey. He actually is my number 4 behind Christian McCaffrey. That seems like so much more of a layup. First of all, in his 1 year, he has been better. He finished better than Kenneth Walker ever has. So there's already that. Both of their situations improved tremendously. Both of them get improved offensive lines. Both of them get better offenses, in my opinion, assuming Kansas City is healthy. Both of them have better. Well, I don't even think Kenneth Walker has better coaching. Actually, I know he has better coaching, but Ashton Genty is getting that coaching that he had last year, which was also really good. And the difference between that, because I mentioned Charbonnet earlier coming in and taking Walker's work, which is why I'm scared of Jeremiah Love. Some people might say with Ashton Genty, why aren't you scared of that with him? It's the same coach. He is in Clint Kubiak, literally said, you look at guys like Christian McCaffrey and how much they play, that's how much we want Ashton Genty to play. So I'm not worried about it there. Sorry, kind of jumped topics a little bit there, but I just wanted to defend my Ashton Genty take for a second, which I think I will be doing next week when I talk about fantasy football running backs that can win you your leagues. Ashton Genty will definitely be on that list. But yeah, so Kenneth Walker, there's just a lot there of he's not going to be the RB6. Obviously, totally different situation, but I just think with health plus I guess previous experience too, as it's just, in my opinion, it makes way more sense for him to be around the RB11 mark than it does the RB6 mark. I'm sure there's running backs in front of him that I could even argue, as someone who has him as the 11, that I could argue shouldn't be. For example, I have Chase Brown ahead of him, but this is PPR specific. If it wasn't a PPR, I would have Walker over Chase Brown. So when I get all my list up, it will be better to look at them. Most leagues, I probably have Kenneth Walker above Chase Brown, but in PPR specific, I have Chase Brown over him. I think I could maybe see the argument for James Cook over James Cook. I could see the argument for a 2026 Devon Achane with this bad Miami Dolphins offense. There's arguments that could be had. I mean, I just listed his entire tier, so I guess I have him the last person in this tier. It's a tier, right? Like that's the whole point of tiers. Like I have them grouped together. I could see the argument for him going from 11 all the way up to 8, but even then, I still don't have him at 6. So it's one of the situations. I say be wary because I just don't have him quite as high as everybody else, and there are major risks that I don't think a lot of people are really putting that much stock into, and I think they should at least make you cause for a little bit of concern, make you pause for a second, and at least think about before hitting that draft button. And that's something, before I get into these last couple of running backs, that's something I try to really preach in all my videos, but I should probably do this more closer to the beginning of the videos rather than the end. I'm not trying to convince you one way or another. I'm just giving you my observations. I'm giving you my research. I'm giving you my takes. You do with them what you will. All I'm trying to do and all I'm asking for is to have an open mind and think, is this a risk I'm willing to take or not? In this video specific, when I'm talking about guys to avoid, is this a risk? Like I have this guy up as an RB6 and Kenneth Walker. Like, let me think about this. Let me think about the causes of concerns he has. And either you think I'm stupid for that point, and that's fine. By all means, draft him at 6, or maybe you just think about it. That's all I'm asking for, is just think about these things and do with it what you will. Come to your own conclusions. Don't just go off my draft rankings and draft your team like that. Then I'm drafting your team. I want you to draft your team. Just think about these things and make your own conclusions. So let's get into these last two guys. I have them in one spot, my 5 spot, old guys. Specifically mentioned here, or typed out here for me, is Derrick Henry at 32 years old and Aaron Jones at 31 years old. Henry, there's going to be a point where he's just not as good as he used to be. When is that going to hit? Because even at times this year, in 2025, I should say, you could make the argument he's as good as he ever was. So obviously, game to game, he's not that good, but for weeks at a time, he's going to hit his peaks, or he has been. Will he still do that? Or is that mid-average that he had put up all last year going to be what he is now? That's the question with Derrick Henry. Aaron Jones, he's a little more concerning to me, but the draft price is much better. Derrick Henry is going as the RB15. Aaron Jones is going as the RB36. So I'm more willing to take the chance on Aaron Jones. But the issue is, let's say Aaron Jones does fall off. He's 31 years old. He's at the age where running backs fall off. Let's say he does fall off. The issue is Baltimore doesn't really have anybody to take a spot, but it's just more likely with all the miles put on Derrick Henry and all the hits put on Derrick Henry. It's more likely for him to fall off, in my opinion. Jones, a little less likely with age and less miles, but if he does, Minnesota has Jordan Mason. And while Jordan Mason isn't a top 10 running back in the league or anything, he is a viable starting option at running back that will take all the carries away from Aaron Jones if he does fall off. Again, I don't think that's happening necessarily at RB 36. I'm probably willing to take Aaron Jones, but I do think I would rather draft Jordan Mason. If this offense is able to take a leap and be a top 15 offense in fantasy football, in real football, in the NFL, then somebody's going to have to get these rushing touchdowns, and I think that's more likely to be Jordan Mason anyway. Now you take into consideration that Aaron Jones might fall off. The only real argument to me is PPR leagues. Aaron Jones should have all the receptions. But if it's even half PPR or standard leagues, I'm taking Jordan Mason all day. And even in PPR leagues, I'm still considering Jordan Mason over Aaron Jones because there's such a high chance of him falling off the cliff. And again, I just think Jordan Mason's going to be the touchdown guy anyway. So, those are 6 guys technically that I think you should be avoiding or at least steering clear, being weary of in your fantasy football drafts. Let me know what y'all think. Drop any others in the comments if you have any other guys that you're avoiding in your draft, specifically running backs. Again, like I always ask, please drop comments, DM me, email me, whatever suggestions you have for my draft guide. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. My draft guide. I think I'm going to try to get a website going for it. And once I do, please just give me what you want from it. What would you want from a draft guide? I need to put bye weeks in there. I don't have bye weeks in there. There's other things that I could put in there. How my ranking differs from their ADP and things like that. But I do want to hear from y'all. What to y'all makes a good draft guide and how can I make it better for y'all to use? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you want to win your fantasy football league, subscribe, do all of the YouTube things, share, bell, whatever. See you next time. We have a mock draft video coming out later this week, and then next week we will be doing running backs that are going to win you your fantasy football league. So again, subscribe so you don't miss it.